Let me ask you this though. What is something in your life that you had to overcome on your journey here? What is something that if that you're willing to share and something you've had to overcome in your journey to get where you're at now? Something that can motivate people, or something that you went through but you persevered through it.
Yeah, I took communications in college. Like radio was something I wanted to do, but as everybody knows, life kind of always takes you in a different direction. So,
Yes.
when I got finished with school, I got into a completely different field. I got into banking. So I was a bank manager, and I was married, bank manager, had a home, and then I lost my house, I lost my wife. Like I kind of hit rock bottom, and I didn't know what was next for me, or how I was going to be able to jump back on that horse and succeed, because I think I was at my lowest at that point. That happened. I want to say now, geez, it's probably about 23 years ago when that happened. But that's when you got to really be able to go to that dark place and see if you're able to take that next step. That's when you got to see for yourself if you have it in you to be successful, is when you're at your lowest, when you're at the most down in your life. And that's when I decided, you know what, my life's not going in the right direction. And that's when I bet on myself and got back into radio. I was like, that was my dream. That's what I wanted to do. I got away from it. Now is the opportunity to do that. Now is the opportunity. Since I have nothing, so I have nothing to lose. And that's when I kind of bet on myself and just dived in and was able to like really just say to myself, F it, it's now or never. And that moment happened to me, like I said, about 23 years ago.
That's an amazing thing because, or 2 points quick points I want to make is first, you were speaking about, that dark place. And when I do my motivational videos and I talk to people, I always tell people that I'm more of a messenger instead of going into the leader type vibe, because you get a lot of motivational clips. You scroll your Instagram, everybody's doing that. And sometimes I don't think a lot of people are necessarily being real. They're just trying to motivate you. But I'm a firm believer that it's okay to sometimes tap into that dark place as long as you don't treat anybody bad. That sometimes it's okay, because that's what motivates you. It's not the dark place of, hey, you know what I mean? It's being realistic, because we're yin and yang personalities as people. We have good days, we have bad days. Sometimes we scroll Instagram and you get to a point where you go through those times where you see what everybody else is doing, and it's like, man, I want to motivate you to do better. And then sometimes you go through moments where you don't care. And I just feel like that as a messenger and as a person, you just have to be realistic that it's okay to sometimes tap into that dark side, because that's what's going to push you. And it's not always going to be the I'm motivated. Sometimes you got to think about that thing you went through that pisses you off sometimes to keep you going. And that's okay, as long as you don't treat anybody bad. But for your own inner motivation, it's okay to sometimes tap into that side. Do you agree?
Yeah, because I think like, the first reaction is probably always going to be anger. When something bad happens to you, you're going to be angry, and that's natural and that's fine. You got to work through that. And there's going to be self-pity and self-doubt. That's natural. You got to work your way through that. But when I say go into that dark place, it's that place inside that's like, that it's not even so much about, and I agree with you, not showing that to other people, but like kicking yourself in the ass and saying
Yes.
like it's like it's looking in the mirror and saying to myself, I screwed up. The reason I'm in this position is not because of that person or that person, because if it's because of that person, well, I let that person do that to me, or I put myself in a position for that person to do that to me. It's you always got to look back at yourself. And the reason that I'm here, whether it's good or bad, is because of me. You got to point the finger at yourself before you point it at anybody else. And once you realize it's your fault, it's your mistake, well, then you can fix that mistake. Because if you're blaming somebody else, then you're never going to fix the mistake, because you're never going to let that make somebody else look at things the same way that you look at things. So it's really looking at yourself in the mirror, saying, this is my fault. I put myself in this position, and then fixing it, because you could only fix yourself. You can't fix anybody else. And I always believe in this too. You can't make anybody happy unless you're happy. So
Amen.
again, that's on you. It's taking responsibility for your own actions, whether it's good or bad. Mistakes are made, it's on me. It's my fault. I'm the only one that could correct it. If I'm unhappy and somebody else isn't making me happy, it's not their responsibility to make you happy. You have to make yourself happy first before you can make anybody else happy, or anybody else can make you happy. It all comes down to knowing your self-worth and understanding that you control your destiny, not somebody else.
Amen, man. And before I close here, the last
And that's, by the way, I'm not to interrupt you. That's difficult to do.
yes,
That's easier said than done. But I'm telling people, like, if you're able to do that and you're able to look at yourself, believe me, you'll be able to fix your problems. You really will.
absolutely. And in our line of work, in any form of entertainment, or even in life, or working with other people and understanding your journey, if you can develop great business etiquette with emotional intelligence, you'll be able to do anything in this world, man, and be able to work with other people, understanding, like we said earlier, when to pass the ball and when to take the shot, being okay, not being the guy to have to take the last shot all the time or be the guy leading the game in points. Know when you can just grab rebounds, play defense, and you can play your position. Or when your man got the hot hand, be the one giving him the Gatorade and the towel. That's
Yeah.
okay. And having the emotional intelligence to understand that, what, I'm going to have certain feelings about certain things. Everything is not always going to be great, but your emotional intelligence is how you react to it, processing it, understanding why you're feeling that way you feel, whether good or bad, in anything, any form of success or hardships, and processing it, sitting back, understand why you feel that way, whether good or bad, and then just make the right decision to move forward.